Welcome to the Mucked Up My Self-Care podcast.
I'm Jill from New York.
And I'm Linda from Tasmania.
We are two moms from opposite sides of the world who are living, demonstrating, and helping moms across the world build their self-care asset bank.
Ready to dive in? Messy, interrupted, imperfect, and most of all mucked up. Let's get going.
Hello. Oh, goodness.
Posting a big sigh at the same time.
Been one of those weeks.
I've got someone stomping around in the background too. I don't know what that's about, but we'll see how this goes. So let's start where we always start. Highs, lows, and all the things in between.
Yeah.
We go first?
Sure. Okay, my low and my high. What did I even do? My goodness. Okay, so my low is definitely moving at my parents' camping this week that just passed, because I've been preparing for it all summer. And I did great helping them close up. My mom did a great job driving us to the next spot. We both did so poorly at backing the trailer up into the new spot. So bad.
Oh my gosh.
It was a screaming match between us. Like, yeah. Neither of us know how to back up a trailer. Mm-hmm. So we never should have.
It takes a lot of skill. Like, just to interrupt you for 1 second. I remember having the trailer on the car and finding myself in a side sort of car park and thinking, oh, I'll go in here and turn around, because I needed to turn around. Went into the car park, realized there was nowhere to turn around at all. Like, there wasn't, the cars were lined all the way up to the
there was no space.
There was no space around the cars at all. And so I had to reverse out of this tiny car park all the way back. It was probably only maybe 500 meters, but I was shaking. I was literally like, my knees were trying to give way, and I was just take a deep breath. Oh my God. Like, yeah, it was, I still remember the feeling. I still remember that whole experience. It was, it's quite a experience.
Yes.
Put it that way.
Now we have both been challenged with learning how to do it, so we can do this in the future. My poor father is in doctor's appointments and getting treatment, and we're like, we have no idea what we're doing. We're leaving it here in the middle of the road.
Yep.
My poor husband got a call. I don't know how to do this. I need you to help me. It's like, how? How am I doing this from over the phone?
Exactly.
Yeah, so fun stuff. But I think my high is going to be for this time. Again, I always come back to this because it's so much fun. We're in such a good time right now with Declan learning so many different things. But he spent a lot of time like on his bike this weekend at the new campground. They have these it's like a little carved out area in dirt with little bumps and hills, so you can ride over them on the bikes. And there were a whole bunch of kids there, and they were doing newer things that he's never seen before. So then he starts like trying to practice on his bike. And it's just so amazing to watch a kid with such determination to learn when he sees something really cool, and how he actually tries it, even though he's not actually capable of doing it with the equipment he has. Because these kids are on bigger bikes with different kinds of brakes, and this kid is only on a pedal back brake, and he's like trying so hard to learn. So, and it was also the first time he played with other kids without an issue by himself, and we watched from afar. So we kind of really got that camping experience I've been looking for this whole summer and the last year and a half of camping with him. So it was very fun to have him out and about this weekend, experiencing the camping life. But what about for you, Linda?
That is so cool. Yeah. like you, that's something that I really enjoy about camping, is when they go off and do their own thing and you get to just pick up a book or just watch them and enjoy watching them, and then knowing that they're having a blast and having lots of fun too. So yeah. Okay, highs and lows for me. I think a high for me, the gym session tonight was a hard one but a good one. Did some PBs as well, so 67.5 reps on the deadlifts now, and I think I did 40 in all of the sets together. I would have done 40 lifts, so that felt good to sort of get stronger, get better at that as well. The low, parenting has felt really hard today. In many ways, it feels like the simplest things need me to be there when I know that these kids just have either done all of this before on their own, or it's just they are needing some reassurance and all sorts of other aspects of me at the moment, which I understand is part of being a mother, but also need to find the balance between becoming that go-to person without them having the confidence to try things themselves. So building up their confidence again in little ways that I can, the best way that I can, while keeping my sanity in the process as well. And I think our kids becoming self-aware is challenging in that if we're not self-aware in the first place, it can be hard for the kids to then have their own confidence in our leadership and our parenting. And that awareness, I think, is being in tune with both what we need and they need, which can be a lot of responsibility. And how do we even do that? Yeah.
It's a challenge for us to even be self-aware as adults and understand how we are, and then to try and have our children understand that as well, especially when their vocabulary or even their understanding of what they're feeling is not nearly as developed as our own. How do we then, express that? How, and help them express it also. So, totally good.
And we know that the brain is still developing in their 20s. I think it's 27 or 28 before the brain's fully developed. So it's not just a matter of teaching them and thinking that it catches and there's no other factors or impacts on that self-awareness, both for them and for us as well, because through pregnancy and postpartum and parenting, our self-awareness has so many other factors that come into play, like the environment or our tiredness or hormones or mood or highs and lows or parenting. There's so many other things that we need to consider when, well, I guess really that's part of the self-awareness, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yep.
And right now, as we were talking about that, I'm thinking, how can I get Declan to be more self-aware when he's tired to go take a nap? And, it's also on me. I can say out loud to him, it's time to go take a nap, but I'm not explaining why he needs to take a nap. I'm usually explaining why I need to go take a nap with him, especially this summer, having to take all these naps. I'm like, you tire mommy too. So let's go take a nap and get some energy for the day. So we are trying to use like those words, but like, you need to go to sleep so you can have energy to go do these things that you want to do tomorrow. Or you need to eat something so you can get some energy to do what we have planned this later on. So we try to pull those in, because that's really like what we've been talking about lately, is these energy leaks, and how do we plug those up, and how do we simplify it then, not just for our kids, but for ourselves? Because again, another thing is, it's the simplicity behind it. What basic needs are we lacking in to help us get that energy back? And then that's figuring out our self-awareness, which we can, once we're self-aware, which we've figured out from the very beginning in this conversation about self-care and mucking it up, is that it really does come down to being aware of ourselves and what we are needing and how to replenish. And that's why we need self-care.
Yeah. So do you think self-awareness always needs to happen in the moment? So take, for example, like the trailer, and just getting so completely flabbergasted and overwhelmed and being like, ah, or me today with trying to work out what the 1-year-old was saying and just being like, I just can't work it out.
Yeah.
Do you think there's awareness that we can have after the fact? Like, that's a reflection, really.
I think it's hard to put that on ourselves, to be aware in moments all the time. And I think it's more common for us to look back and be like, oh, okay. One, I could have handled that a lot better, but two, what was missing, and why did I get to that point in that moment? And what can we do now to make sure I don't lose all of my bandwidth, or I don't get overly melty because I just expressed all of that stuff. What do you find when you're in those moments? Like, what happened next? Was it more of a looking back, or in the moment?
There's definitely less ability sometimes when there's everyone or everything or every emotion running through you. I think for me there has been a growth in the fact that I'm more aware of, hey, I'm really overwhelmed right now, or hey,
100%.
I didn't handle that well, or hey, this is clearly a really huge thing right now of something that I've never done before. And so I think the awareness of ourselves is constantly changing as well. So I may handle a situation one way one day and think, wow, pat on the back. And then in another situation similar on another day, it can look really different.
Yeah. And I found myself trying to abort mission because I was recognizing, this is, one, bad for my mother and I. Two, this is bad for me individually. Three, how am I going to survive the rest of the afternoon here to get home? So I need to stop exerting myself to this point. I definitely tried to abort mission a few times before we actually were able to successfully get it in. But I think, like you said, it's come a long way for me to even hear that tiny little voice in the back of my mind saying, this isn't going the way it
should. That can be really hard to listen to. There's a good book called The Red Beast, and it's by, goodness, let me double check who it's by. So it is by Kyle Garney, and basically what it talks about is a red beast that lives inside us. And if we are angry or overwhelmed or those sort of things, that red beast comes to life and takes over your body, basically. So your ears stop working and your eyes stop working, and you become very big in this anger. of The Red Beast. And I think it's been such a great book. I haven't read it for a while with the kids, but it's been a really good book that's helped all of us think about this little beast that we awaken inside, and that is part of how I've helped, I think, well, I hope I've helped in teaching them some of that self-awareness. And sometimes they can also say to me, hey, your red beast is taking over your life. And so it's been really good at teaching and helping them understand that, you know what, sometimes our ears don't work and our eyes don't work, and when we're not at our best selves, because expecting us not to muck up and expecting us to have these brilliant moments, I think, is really unrealistic. Yeah. Yep. What about when we're talking about self-awareness and our bodies or hormones? And one example I'm thinking of is like when you're hungry. Sometimes you can eat if you're bored but not actually hungry, or you can eat when you're actually full and not actually hungry, just because we tend to sometimes eat our emotions or just get into bad habits, or there's all sorts of reasons. And again, if we're talking about a self-awareness there, it's a interesting thought to maybe touch on when we can be in tune with our bodies and our needs, and sometimes maybe our strength or our fitness or our sleep. So how much sleep have we had the night before? Like having a self-awareness of, are we tired? Do we need more sleep? What was the quality of our sleep? Did we have lots of wake-ups? And how will that then impact our energy for the day? And do we need more self-care because of that as well?
Yeah. It's taken some practice to be aware of those things. And recognize, well, what did I do yesterday that I'm like feeling this today? You know, it's like a workout. When you worked out for the first time and your body's really achy, you're like, that's right. I worked out for the first time in weeks, and we have to take care of our bodies. You know, sometimes that means working out again. So you stretch your muscles, you know, and they're not too sore then by doing that. So, you know, it's finding those, what makes you continue to feel good and grow you. But I look at it like that, I think, in my opinion, is, you know, like, like, what did I do yesterday to make me feel so tired today or not feel better? Yeah, exactly. So I think that's an ongoing, like, self-awareness is an ongoing evolution. It needs to be a constant, because we need to be aware that our self is not the same as we were 12 months ago, 12 years ago, 12 minutes ago, even sometimes. Like, just having that awareness of ourself, I think, can really be a form of self-care and help our self-care and help us recognize what we need and what we know. So what got you started with being able to recognize like being self-aware? Like what were you doing that like really got you to understand, oh, when I do this, this happens, for yourself?
I think pregnancy is a big one. I think we can't become really self-aware in pregnancy when we're growing a little human as a start. I think it's been lots of different aspects and lots of different ways that I've done that. So a lot of EFT has really helped that for me. Physical fitness has also helped a lot of the self-awareness, especially when it comes to being more in tune with my needs on a physical level. So having conversations like this is also always helpful. And I think another one is allowing for quiet time and reflection, bit of that journaling stuff as well. Writing has been massive. It's part of becoming more self-aware, and the stories that I hold inside that are busting to get out. Yeah. What about for you?
I think it definitely was when I started tracking my cycles and understanding how my hormones were affecting going through that, and being really aware of the foods I was eating, the things that were triggering certain rages, so my whole postpartum journey is what got me super self-aware, and understanding the benefits of good self-care when we struggle.
Yeah, definitely.
So I know practicing being self-aware can be very challenging. But I do like, one of the things that we do in our planner, Linda, is having our bandwidth meter, and are we high on bandwidth today, low on bandwidth, or are we super melty? And I think instead of having to, because I started out tracking like all emotions, I think the emotion that we're tracking, just understanding, are we a high energy? Are we depleted of our energy? Or are we like just beyond understanding? Sometimes each day can be a really good start to understanding ourselves and our self-awareness. So I wonder if that might be something we can challenge those listening to do this week, to be aware of your energy with just, are you high, low, or just super melty?
Yeah, good idea. Yeah, and just either make a mental note, or I do find that writing it down and having it there for the week can help with the awareness.
Yeah,
I think that trying to rely on my brain to remember what I felt last week was probably not the greatest idea for me, but maybe you've got a better memory than we have.
Well, if you have a planner, just jot it down to your day. That way you're seeing, like, next week when you come to it, well, I was super low energy on this day, and this is why. And you can see it right in your planner or your calendar that, you had your day stacked full, or it was all toddler life for the day.
Oh, yes. Full on. Well, speaking of little life, I do believe you have a little one by your side.
Yes, everyone's here now. Yep.
So, until next week.
We hope you can unstuck your mess.
Bye.
Bye.